SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
At Community Bank, we're more than a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors and trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've helped families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. We're dedicated to your success every step of the way. Community Bank, member FDIC.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right. Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. Grateful as always for you tuning in. I am into my 9th year here, which means I'm 9 years older than when I started this thing. It's amazing how time flies for sure. Visit Mississippi.org. Put some wings on that. Check it out. It's been a lot of commercials lately about, well, one commercial that's been aired a lot of times about our culinary world down here. Now that Michelin has shown up, we hadn't got a star yet, but we got some close contenders, and maybe that'll happen next year. But there's quite a few restaurants that were mentioned by Michelin, and they're all around our state. So check it out. Go to visit Mississippi.org. Culinary, big part of our arts as well, besides our music. All right, today, who broke the record on being on this show at least 1 million times now. He's a dear pal of mine. We actually share another podcast called Resonance, and along with our pal, Randy Harrington, a couple great business consultants that I've gotten to know over my time. And now we share a podcast together called Resonance. You can go to resonanceleader.com and check that out. We're into our 2nd year. We're having a blast, and I'm definitely the slowest one on that totem pole, I can tell you. But I've had a blast learning so much about what these guys have been teaching to so many of the biggest business leaders in the country. And it's helped me with my record company, helped me with my daily work. So check it out if you can. He is an award-winning author, speaker, and strategic business coach and Benedictine Oblate, drawing on nearly 40 years of business experience and wisdom of the Rule of Benedict. He incorporates principles of strategic mindset, stability, community excellence, and profound hospitality. Even though he's from Minnesota and lives in South Dakota, he's got a little Mississippi in him, us being the hospitality state. As the author of acclaimed books, including Sell Like a Monk, The Sweet Spot, Where Business Strategy, Positive Psychology, and Faith Principles Converge, and Ultimate Breakthrough Planning, and his upcoming book, More Thriving, Less Grumbling, out very soon. His work empowers purpose-driven entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and mission-based focused organizations to achieve strategic growth and long-term success by fostering clarity, innovation, and strategic planning. But I'm telling you, this man does it with core values. That's where it starts and finishes for him. Everything else lives in the middle. Let's get to it right now with my dear pal, Mike, the Monk Guy Farrell. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Good. I feel a little bit, I said my prayers this morning after I worked out, and now I'm feeling even more close to the man upstairs staring at you. How you like that?
All right. Good deal. Well, I don't know about that, but
I love it. It's good to.
I don't think there's a halo anywhere. But
no, I'm not seeing a halo though, but
unless it's just bad light.
I love it. You and I have talked about this. We both do sort of the same thing since our wives are so involved in our business lives, kicking off the year with a plan. I didn't like in one of our recent episodes, Randy talking about, what was it? It was a negative way of doing things. What was it called? It was a post-mortem?
Pre-mortem, I think you called it.
Not post. In the word mortem, I'm out. Pre-mortem, that means sort of project if what could go wrong
Right.
And I don't like that. I'm a positive person. So I've decided to throw that out the window when Gwen and I get together tomorrow. But let's talk about the benefit, especially when your wife's your partner in business, about getting your year started. And if your wife's not your partner, you got people at work and you're getting started, sort of a mini retreat just to get yourself ready, set your goals. Tell me what it's like for you. And then do you advise this to your business folks that you consult?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question that. In fact, I was in Florida in December working with a whole bunch of clients down there, and that's exactly what 3 days worth was down there. It was really, looking at, first and foremost, before you plan for the new year, you got to look back at what happened in the previous year. And I know you guys do that. It's that reflection time. It's really, what were the wins, what worked, what didn't work. What are some things that maybe we did that we shouldn't have done, and we need to toss those aside and not focus on them for the new year? And then what are some opportunities? Where are the opportunities that we might be able to take advantage of in the new year? So that reflecting back is the first important piece of that. And it really, you can't plan forward unless you look backward. And so I think that's the first step is understanding where you've been. And then I think it's a matter of really just sitting down and figuring out. And I think one of the challenges that people have, and we see this with New Year's resolutions all the time, you have these lofty ideas of that you're going to, lose 150 pounds and, make $1 bazillion and you're going to do it in 6 weeks, and, we have these lofty expectations. And so we set these resolutions. And, if you look at the science behind it, by, January 17th, about 95% of the resolutions are gone. They just don't work. And so. Are
they just too ambitious? Just too ambitious?
Yeah, too ambitious. I mean, it really, people, and they try and do, and I see this with my clients all the time, even when we do strategic planning. They try and create these strategic plans, and they think everything has to be done in a week. And most of these strategic plans are really plans that are either, I typically work with either a 90-day or a 6-month plan. And if you stretch that out, you realize that, okay, we've got 3 months or 6 months to accomplish these things. We don't have to do them all in a week. And I think that's where especially entrepreneurs get hung up, is that they want to go forward fast. You and I talked about this in you and I and Randy talked about this in one of our podcasts, go slow to go fast. And so understanding that you take it step by step, and you take it in bite-sized pieces. And so,
right.
And then of course the other thing that I really talk about is this idea of planning with the idea that, yes, it's great to set goals. We want to have goals for the year. But we know what happens if our focus is on those goals. Mm-hmm. The minute it becomes apparent that you're either not going to hit them or that you're going to exceed them, you either do one of two things. If you're not going to hit them, you start making excuses. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to exceed them, you put it on cruise control and coast into the end of the year. And so what I really talk about, and I wrote about this in my first book, Ultimate Breakthrough Planning, what I really talk about is let's focus on the actions and activities that are going to get you to that goal. Because if you do that, then the goal takes care of itself. And almost inevitably, if you're doing those actions and activities, I call them key milestones, if you're looking at those and doing those on a regular basis, the goal takes care of itself. And in most cases, you're going to exceed the goal. So I think for the year, as you sit down, and I know you and Gwen are going to do this, you sit down and you kind of map out, okay, what's the year look like? What do we want to accomplish? And then the other piece, and you and I have talked about this as well. What's the higher purpose vision? Mm-hmm. What's the why? Why are we doing this? And if we're looking at new opportunities, if we're looking at new things to do, why are we doing them? And are they connecting with that higher purpose vision that we're trying to accomplish?
The why for me never changes. So it's all evolves around my songs and getting to play and perform and take it to the people and making records and all that. So that is my core. That's what I've lived for and loved doing, and so grateful that I've gotten to do it this long in my life and continue to get to do it. Everything else revolves around it. This show, All of these things, they have a lot to do with my musical career. Although I've been in some elevators in Mississippi and folks are going like, man, we love your radio show. I said, how about my music? Well, I didn't know you still were around. I love it. No, I'll take one or the other, but they don't understand that musically, it's all about that for me. Right. And they're actually helping my career by listening to this show because it helps it in the long run musically. It all comes back to that. Let's take a quick break. My pal Mike the Monk Guy Farrell, his book coming out, More Thriving, Less Grumbling. I can't wait to have him back on when that book goes live. Sell Like a Monk, The Sweet Spot, the Ultimate Breakthrough Planning. Check his books out. They're just incredible and they're cool looking and they sit on your desk in a perfect little stack. Each one of them are coordinated just different colors and it's like you're looking at encyclopedias, but they're little. They're not like an encyclopedia. We'll be right back. Visit Mississippi.org. That's an encyclopedia of the most beautiful hallowed ground you've ever heard or seen. Go to visit Mississippi.org. I'm Steve Azar.
Running from the land of milk and honey. The way we look at life is funny. Damn the money. Damn the money. Damn the money. Yeah, damn that money.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now.
At Fillmore Buick GM.
Into the new year, excited about planning things, trying to stay on the path. As my guest today, Mike the Monk Guy Farrell, said by usually middle of January, the resolution has disappeared. And because sometimes the goals may be too lofty, too insane, too impossible to reach. And maybe you got to step back and take one bite of the elephant at a time. They say, if you're going to take a bite out of Mississippi, go to visit Mississippi.org, and you can eat your way around the state. There's so many incredible restaurants, and that's what they're celebrating right now there. Great commercial on that right now. You'll be proud of so many of these hot spots now that are known nationally, and it's drawing people in to just come eat. I mean, and when you come eat here, you get the love from all you folks out there that live in our beautiful state of Mississippi. No greater hospitality than you all, I can tell you. Mike the Monk Guy Farrell has, it's when it comes to profound hospitality, that's his deal. He also always says, listen with the ear of the heart, right? Is that what you say, Mike? That's the thing. Yep, tell folks about that. And when do you pull that card?
Well, listen with the ear of your heart is the opening line of the Rule of St. Benedict. It's actually listen, my child, to the master's instructions with the ear of your heart. That's the opening line. And it really is, it's that idea that when we listen, number one, we're present. Mm-hmm. Number two, we listen with compassion. Number three, we listen with empathy, and we listen with understanding. It's really that idea that, and I love it. The Japanese have a sign or a symbol for listening, and it encompasses your heart, your mind, your soul, your focus, your ears, and your mouth, all into one symbol. So it really embodies that whole idea of listening with the ear of your heart. And so listening with the ear of your heart is step one. As we have communications and conversations with our people. I mean, one of the first things that I do when I sit down with a client is I want them to tell me about what's going on with their life, with their business, those kinds of things. And I can't be present to them if I don't listen with the ear of my heart. And I think it's really important that as we have conversations with our team, as we have conversations with our family, as we have conversations with our friends, to be present. So many times, and I think you even said it on one of the podcasts, so many times we're doing 100 things at a time, and something goes in one ear and comes out the other. And, we just kind of give it a rote response and move on. That's not listening with the ear of your heart.
Right. So when you go in and see some clients, how do you prepare yourself? Like when we get ready to go in the studio, you prepare yourself sort of mentally. You get there's things you sort of do to focus in on some of the important pieces, the little details and all that. And you can't have your mind on lunch at Popeyes or something. You got to be focused. Also, when you get on stage, you have to be. It's about the moment. For you, when you walk into all these different businesses, you're walking into a different leader, you're walking into a different situation with a different set of problems, a different set of successes and all that. How do you prepare mentally to listen with the ear of your heart when you walk in second you start?
Sure. I think one of the things that I do, from a preparation standpoint, and again, some of it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm coaching a leader, that's one thing. If I'm going in to train or to consult, that's a completely different thing. So, but from coaching a leader perspective in the executive coaching that I do, first and foremost, I need to prepare. I need to know more about that leader. And so there's some exercises that I run them through before I ever sit down that first time. There's some, tools that I use, the values in action inventory, which really identifies their character strengths, those kinds of things, because in order for me to really understand who that leader is before I ever walk in the door, I can't ask good questions unless I know some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think the other piece then preparing mentally is really understanding as much as possible where they're at today and then where they want to go. And that would be a conversation that I would have on the front end before we ever engage in the coaching process. Because there are some leaders that are open to that coaching. There are other leaders that aren't. And it's a waste of my time and their time if they're going to bring me in and they don't have an open mindset that says they want to be a better leader. They want to achieve more in their organization or their business. And so it really is a situation where I have to know more about them before I walk in, but then I have to be prepared to, we talk about this I talk about this in sales situations all the time. I'm going to talk 20% and they're going to talk 80%. I just want to ask good questions.
Like a good golf pro. They sit there and stare at your swing for a while and they don't say anything. We're like, how about some help here? And what they're doing is they're soaking it in. The ones that start talking immediately, you go, okay, wait a minute. Like that. You want them to watch for a second. Hey, so let me ask you this. Humility. So with great leaders that you've seen over your time, have you ever seen a great leader that lacked humility?
I mean, I've seen great leaders that maybe lacked humility on the front end, but discovered it as we went through. I think that's certainly possible, but I don't think you can be a great leader without humility.
In our world, in our business, music-wise, the folks that I have been the most successful that I've gotten to know over these years all have that. That's tangible. That is a trait that is so important in their makeup. And it's why I feel like that, it's like Dan Tyminski. So I was watching Avicii the other day, the story of this kid, 28 years old. He was like Beethoven, He had this incredible music and he ended up committing suicide at 28. And you just feel for this kid who had, and his parents and all, and the world that he left with all of this music that was in him ready to come out that we're never going to hear. Dan Tyminski, who's a pal, Delta Soul, played a lot of golf together over our time. Yeah. He was one of the artists on there with the song, Hey Brother. He also sang Man of Constant Sorrow, not George Clooney. He was imitating Dan, but Dan's got 15 Grammys. And Dan, it's not a joke. He doesn't have a clue where the Grammy Awards are. He talks about the foam that they came in that lines his studio to help his studio sound better. So he's more into the foam than where the trophies are. And it's the kind of guy, it just shows you the kind of guy that he is. And 15 Grammys is not easy to come by.
Right.
And also just in the fact of these moments in history musically, Oh Brother Where Art Thou? George Clooney is singing, acting like it's him and it's you. Hey Brother with Avicii, this global thing. And he's a bluegrass guy with Alison Krauss and Union Station. I mean, he's basically covered the entire world of music between film and all these EDM music and all this stuff. Who would have thought? Sure. But yet he's never changed. He is a simple, beautiful, complex guy. but he lives a simple life in a way, emotionally, I guess is the best way to say. He's humble, you know?
Yep.
Nothing really simple about him. He's complex, but he comes off as this regular guy, which he is, just a regular guy.
Right.
Anyway, but he's just an example of many, that I've come across that reminds me that's how you got to be, you know? Yeah. In our business or in any business. We got 30 seconds. I want to talk about, when we come back, the discipline of finishing, which is what we talked about in our Resonance podcast, in a minute, because that one was something that struck a chord with me for sure. You get to the 3-yard line and you can't punch it in, and that's a lot of businesses end up failing because of that. We're with Mike the Monk Guy Farrell. You can check his books out. Mike, how can folks follow your Wednesday newsletter that I get?
Go to themonkguy.com, and when you open up that website, a little form will pop up, and all you got to do is pop your email in there, and you'll be on the list for the Monk Principles 2+1, and that comes out every Wednesday morning.
And you don't even have to put your credit card down. How you like that? Exactly. Visit Mississippi.org. They don't want you to put your credit down with them. They want you to take it and spread it around the state. Helps our economy, the creative economy. The culinary world is exploding in Mississippi. Come on, we're in the South. Michelin should have been here many, many years ago. Are you kidding me? We know flavor. We know flavor. Visit Mississippi.org. We'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar. You're on Super Talk Mississippi.
Nobody's laughing, I'm crying. I'm the waitress in LA, way past the prime, shoulder to shoulder, half of my line, I'm crying.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now.
From the Seabrook.
In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
I don't know why I have so much fun with this man. Really got to know him the last year and a half, 2 years of my life. But it's been ever so grateful. He also gives great gifts at Christmas and beyond. We just got through eating basically 90% of what he's given us already. And I didn't even have a couple of our children home. So that means I partook way too much. Visit Mississippi.org. I appreciate these guys so much. They just left the Rose Bowl with Kermit the Frog, as big as you could possibly see. And they're celebrating the culinary world. Obviously, we're the birthplace of America's music. Be proud of your Mississippi. Mike, I want to talk about in our podcast, our new podcast that we have, Resonance, we talked about the discipline of finishing. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, I've known people in my life, and I've seen people in businesses and stuff, and it's like they see this new shiny object. Yep. And right when they get to the finish line, either they never wanted to succeed. It's almost like sometimes they just didn't want it. Oh, they get scared of the success or whatever happens. They end up switching gears and they they take off to the new shiny thing, and they're sitting there ready to punch it in, and they turn the ball over. What is how significant is the discipline of finishing, and what's the recipe?
Well, I think it's so significant because if you don't finish, sooner or later that becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you begin to chase the next shiny object like you and I have talked about. And what happens is it erodes the trust of your team. It erodes the engagement of your team. And when those things, because all of a sudden they're going to start looking at, well, we're going to get to this point, and all of a sudden he or she is going to switch directions, and we're going to go towards something else. And so why do we put all of our effort into this when we know that, we're going to get it to the 4-yard line, and then, they're going to decide to go a different direction. So I think that's the most important aspect of it. And I think, again, kind of getting back to our earlier conversation about this idea of planning, making sure that you stick to the particular things, and I call them strategies. You can call them whatever you want, but making sure that you're sticking to the particular strategies that you're trying to accomplish in your plan. And what happens a lot of times, and I see this especially with entrepreneurs, is that they're gonna pick 3 strategies that they're gonna focus on in whatever time period it is. But 6 weeks later, all of a sudden, the next new shiny object comes along, and they decide, okay, I'm going to add that strategy, and then I'm going to add that strategy. And now all of a sudden, none of them get done. And so it's really important to be disciplined and stick with that idea that says, okay, we're going to focus on these 3 strategies. We're going to work the heck out of them, get them across the finish line, and then we'll go on to the next strategies, whatever those are. And so really being disciplined in that approach. And I think the other thing, and I use this with clients, having a place where you can put those shiny object ideas. I have a actual planning document that I use with my clients, and one of the tabs on that we call the parking lot. And it says, okay, you get a great idea, you get something that comes along, stick it in the parking lot so you don't forget it. Talk about it in the parking lot, but let's revisit that when we go to create the next plan, rather than chasing it, trying to do the existing plan that we're in. So I think that's really the idea. But when you don't finish, sooner or later, you create not only disengagement with your team, you also create a mindset that says, I don't need to finish. Mm-hmm. And that is going to bite you.
All right, let me ask you this and put it in my perspective, in my world. You're working on a song and it's going nowhere. But you're working on it, right? And you've written a chorus, and you've written a chorus, you read a couple of verses, things aren't whatever. And then you come up with this idea because you're having this constant conversation, and a title or an idea pops out that's serious, and you go. And you have to. So when do you punt? That's okay. And you're going to get back to that other thing, but that's the new shiny object for us. But we're sort of tuned in to like, oh, that's a better idea. That has a better opportunity. It's not like we're trying to ditch something. We're really working on something, but it just pops out of the sky. So when is it right to do? Like, not put in the parking lot. And
again, in that particular case, I would say your strategy is the creativity aspect of it. Doesn't matter whether it's 1 song or 3 songs. You're focusing on the creativity aspect of it. And in the songwriting process, and you and I have had enough of these conversations that I'm kind of getting the hang of it here, that, you understand that sometimes when you're working on something else comes along, but it's the same thing. It's just a different message. It's just a different tune. It's just whatever.
Our purpose is the same core purpose, right? So so I'm still working on that. We're not just, yeah. Okay, I got that. Okay, so when do you decide that something's just not gonna finish? It's not working, because it's equally as important to know when to stop doing something that is costly, right?
Right, absolutely. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Right.
The thing about it is that you need to really measure it, because here's the problem. If you continue to work on it and work on it and work on it, but you're not measuring the activity, it's very difficult to determine whether or not that's going to be a failure. But if you're measuring that activity and you're seeing that I'm doing all the things that I need to do and I'm not getting the results, then at some point you have to say, okay, this is probably the wrong direction and we need to pull the plug. Now, the challenge is that, and especially with leaders and entrepreneurs and some of the folks that I work with, the challenge is getting them to understand when the time is to pull the plug. And I think that's the important part. And that's one of the most difficult things for people to do is to say, okay, I'm going to throw in the towel. This isn't working. I'm going to throw in the towel and let's move on to the next thing. And I think that's the important aspect of that is not putting all your eggs in one basket. If you're working on 3 strategies and 2 of them are working and 1 of them isn't, then focus on the 2 that are working and toss the 3rd one out, and we'll find a 3rd strategy in the next planning session.
Do leaders get caught just sort of stuck with looking at time and money already put in, and they just can't seem to hit reverse when they know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've invested time and considerable resources into something and it's not working. You have 2 thoughts. Number 1, do I keep pouring stuff into it and maybe it'll work? Mm-hmm. Or number 2, do I pull the plug and cut my losses?
Right.
And I think sometimes that's a very difficult decision. But again, I think the other piece of that is, are you getting input from others? Don't put yourself in a vacuum and try and make that decision yourself.
Gotcha.
Get input from others to make sure, whether it's an outside coach or consultant or whether it's other folks on your team or you have a leadership team or whatever the case may be, get outside input, because if you're trying to make that decision on your own, you're probably setting yourself up for heartache.
Yeah. I want to dig into a little bit of ethical and trustworthy, a characteristic that I feel like needs to be on both sides of the fence. When you go in, they have to feel that way about you. And when you go in, you sure need to feel that way about them. And when do you decide, I don't care how much money I'm getting paid, I'm out? We'll be right back with Mike the Monk Guy Farrell. You can go to themonkguy.com, sign up for his newsletters right there. I get them every Wednesday, extremely informative. And it's a good little hump day, when you just need a little bit of extra motivation. And Mike is a, prolific author. Check out his book, Sell Like a Monk, The Sweet Spot, The Ultimate Planning Breakthrough, More Thriving, Less Grumbling's Coming. What's the other one, Mike? I leave one out? Yes.
Sweet Spot, Ultimate Breakthrough Planning, and Sell Like a Monk.
So, Sell Like a Monk. Yeah, well, come on. That should be the one I never forget. Visit Mississippi.org. Don't forget about that. Check it out. Eat your way around Mississippi. Can I say that? Because I just did. I'm Steve Azar. We'll be right back.
Is enough to know. Baby, you're my sunshine. Everybody needs a little sunshine. You're my sunshine. 'Cause like the dawn, you push it all the way. I'm still trying to find my way.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Homebuyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time homebuyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now. All right, fellas.
Gun crimes all down by double digits. Why? Well, some experts cite obesity and an aging population. But guess who didn't get any credit from the media or big city mayors? The Trump crackdown on criminal aliens deported off the streets and out of jail. Here's Adam Gelb from the Nonpartisan Council on Criminal Justice, which authored the report.
If you are removing the high-rate, dangerous, violent repeat offenders from the streets, then you certainly can have a significant reduction in crime.
That's because 62% of prison inmates are rearrested within 3 years. If they're deported, those crimes don't happen. Also, the U.S. added 3 million new legal gun owners last year, 20 million over 5. So contrary to the argument that more guns mean more crime, here, violent crime and homicide all went down. William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
There ain't no street in this town where the memories
Got a short segment left with a very tall man, Mike the Monk Guy Farrell. Visit Mississippi.org. That's tall because that's beautiful and big, and it's got just the greatest wildlife, the greatest lakes and streams and ponds and the Gulf over there, the Gulf Coast, the Mississippi River just outside my door. Well, it's kind of outside my door, a couple miles away. Beautiful Mississippi, the hills of Mississippi, the pines, you name it. Go to visit Mississippi.org. Plan a road trip. All right, Mike, last thing, let's talk about this ethical and trustworthy. So you walk into an office, and can you sense from the leader or the environment, have you ever started to itch and go, something is not feeling right about this? There's a little bit of the devil in the room. And have you ever just gone, enough, I'm moving out? Because that is important to you, those core values.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and of course I've been doing this now for the better part of 40 years. So, there's not a whole lot of BS somebody's gonna, blow up my skirt that says,
you're wearing a pretty skirt, by the way, right now.
Right. But, so I think it's one of those things that, if you ask the right questions, you can tell pretty quickly. And I'm very blessed in that I get to work with people that I like to work with. If I can sense right out of the blocks that this is going to be a challenge, it's going to be not even so much a challenge. It's going to be, very difficult to get them to engage and to really open up and talk about what's going on in their work, what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their leadership and those kinds of things. Then it's, I'm fortunate that then I can say, I just don't know that this will work for us. And it's interesting because the way I start all of my engagements, and I've actually got a button on my website that you can hit, I say, let's start it out with a discernment call.
There's that word again.
Let's start it out with a discernment call, and let's talk about each other, and let's talk about how we might work together. For
my listeners that aren't sure about the word discernment, can you define?
Discernment is really the idea that, it's sort of the long version of decision making. Okay. In that you reflect, you gather information, you bounce things off people, you determine what the best options are. So it's a real process that you can use to make wise decisions. Discernment goes all the way back. St. Ignatius of Loyola created a whole process of what he called discernment of the spirit. And so, taking that process and applying it to, business and to work and to how we do things in organizations, is a great way to make decisions. But so anyhow, it's that initial discernment conversation that I have with somebody that really allows us to find out whether or not it's a good fit. And I said, like I said, I've been doing it now for close to 40 years. And in that discernment conversation, it becomes clear fairly quickly whether or not it's somebody that, and they may not want to work with me. They may not, one of the things that I want to do is I want to work with people that, are grounded in their faith. are grounded in values and principles and ethics and those kinds of things. And if they sense that that's what they're not looking for, well, then, they may make the decision.
Well, they shouldn't even have you in their office because they know the Monk guy is you're Mike the Monk Guy Farrell, for goodness sake. Well, this guy's coming in with a lot of faith, and we better match him, toe for toe, baby, pound for pound. That's a beautiful thing. Hey, Mike, we don't have a lot of time left, maybe about a minute. When's More Thriving and Less Grumbling coming out?
Well, it should be done. Some of it depends on the publishing process. The idea was to have it out the end of January. I think now it's probably the end of February by the time everything gets designed. But I have an event the first week of March, and I plan on having books in my hand when I go to it. So
beautiful. Beautiful. Folks, you can bring Mike the Monk Guy Farrell into Mississippi to speak. And if you're in other states listening, which I hope you are, you can bring him in anywhere. He has an airport there that's really awesome. I've been in quite a bit to South Dakota's airport, and it'll take you anywhere in the United States and beyond. Mike, I appreciate you as always. Thanks for taking a Mississippi Minute with me.
Oh, my pleasure, Steve. Always a pleasure to do it.
You're the best. Mike the Monk Guy Farrell, folks, go to themonkguy.com. Check him out. Visit Mississippi.org. We are celebrating the love of culinary, and that is an art form in Mississippi that just rocks. Check it out. We'll see you later. I'm Steve Azar. Blessings.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.